All right, folks, good Monday afternoon, and welcome to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN and our affiliates. I'm Joe Mangiacotti from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios, and you can listen to us on the terrestrial radio stations as well as on the TuneIn app. Just punch in WCRN, and you can take us anywhere. Tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do that, no questions asked. Also, folks, we are broadcasting on multiple platforms, including the televised version. So we do have a camera in studio, and if you want to watch and listen to this show, it's not real exciting. It's just one camera in the studio. It's not like a TV production here, folks. But you can do it on our Facebook page. All of our social media platforms are Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I. So Facebook, Twitter. We're not doing Instagram. I don't think it carries it on that. But we are streaming on my LinkedIn page, as well as my YouTube channel, The Joe Mangiacotti Show, and even my even Twitch TV, which is, I guess I have an account there. So there's actually 5 different ways to watch and listen to the show, in addition to all of the other ways that we can do that. To reach the station, the studio, for two-way talking conversation, 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. We also have a text line up and running at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388, or email text Joe on the radio at gmail.com. Hey, Jazz, how we doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Good. I just had a clement throat. Did we cut that, or was that on the air? Anyway, folks, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. We have an hour here and a lot to talk about, but one thing I want to point out, in case you hadn't heard, I wanted to at least recognize that Bob Dole has passed away at 98 years old. And Bob Dole was a huge political figure for many years. I know he's been out of the limelight for a little while, but he was the former Republican senator from Kansas from 96. No, he was there for a long time. What I was going to say is, in 96, he was the Republican presidential candidate. He was a vice presidential candidate. Senator Dole died early yesterday morning in his sleep at 98 years old. He served America faithfully for 79 years. You know, the thing about this, and it's always a problem, Jazz, and I see people on the left, they're tweeting out that he supported Donald Trump. Like this was this horrible crime, and negates the fact that he was a World War II hero, veteran and hero, and then served in the Senate and served the people of his district in this country for nearly 80 years. It's just, get a grip, folks, because that's what's important, is that he supported Donald Trump, and everything else that he did is just irrelevant now. Earlier in 2021, it was announced that Dole was being treated for advanced lung cancer, and Joe Biden visited Dole shortly before his diagnosis back in February. For 30 years, he was a senator from Kansas. In 76, he was President Ford's vice presidential nominee. Of course, they were defeated by then party presidential candidate Jimmy Carter and Walt Mondale. Dole, he was injured while fighting in World War II. He was the Senate Majority Leader from 85 to 87, again 95 to 96. And in 96, he clinched the Republican nomination for the presidency, but he was defeated, of course, by Bill Clinton. He was his wife, Elizabeth Dole. She was a huge public figure as well. I think it was, wow, memory serves me, I think it was the American Red Cross that she ran at some point in her career. There used to be rumblings about her being someone who should be on the ticket. She's a very impressive lady as well, Elizabeth Dole. So Bob Dole has passed away, and in case you hadn't heard that, I think it's starting to be covered on the news now, at least quietly, but he was fighting cancer. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. This is the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Don't forget, we're on multiple platforms, so very easy to listen to and reach out. So the one of the things I wanted to talk about, folks, is this problem with CRT and school committees is not something that we're just seeing in Arizona or Virginia or California, for that matter. It's affecting us here in Massachusetts. There is a Massachusetts educator fired because of a TikTok video opposing CRT, and she's filed lawsuits. So this all happened with a teacher who had been terminated from Hanover. So you got to follow all this because she ran also for school committee in a different town. So she's fired from Hanover High School for posting a number of videos on TikTok opposing critical race theory. Well, she's filed civil lawsuits against her former employers, claiming that they violated her First Amendment rights. And here's the twist in this, because they were in a position to just let her go, by the way. But they actually named the TikTok videos opposing CRT as the reason. So again, right, these teachers on the left, they're in this bubble and they are so sure that they are right, and everybody who doesn't agree with them are morons and idiots, and they just don't get it. And their arrogance lets them go ahead and say, we're firing you because you spoke out against CRT on these TikTok videos. But what that did, folks, is they put her freedom of speech as the reason for firing her. So if you're following me here, if they had just let her go, which they had the right to because of probationary times and all that, they could have just said, it's not a fit, we're going to let you go. No, they said, we're firing you because you spoke out against CRT on these and posted these TikTok videos. So the reason they gave was her exercising free speech. That gave her the foundation to sue for violation of her First Amendment rights. I think it's hilarious. So Carrie McRae, represented by nonprofit legal organization Judicial Watch, and we look to Judicial Watch for a lot of information because they have a lot of suits going, and they're kind of the common sense ACLU of its day, sued Hanover Public School Superintendent Matthew Ferron and Hanover High School Principal Matthew Matos for firing her over 2 TikTok videos she posted as part of a campaign to be on the Bourne School Committee that criticized critical race theory, the controversial doctrine that teaches students that white people are oppressors and people of color, you're oppressed, no way out of it, you're born into it. This is medieval England. You're born into your class, and there's nothing you can do to change it, folks. Well, she had worked as a math and business teacher at Hanover School for a month before she was fired. So she was within that ability of letting her go just because we decided we don't think it's a good fit. Could have done that. But she didn't do it. And now she's running for the school committee down in Bourne, not Hanover. She works in Hanover, but she's running for the Bourne School Committee. All right. So according to the filings, McRae was hired on August 31st and terminated on September 29th. The TikTok videos that the high school in Hanover cited as the basis for firing her were posted months before she was hired as part of her committee campaign.
So how the heck does that work? They didn't do their homework and now just are regretting.
Yeah, you got to pot up a little bit too because you're low.
Now they're just regretting their decision because they didn't do their homework?
Well, yeah. Typically, I think what happens in these cases, Jazz, is that when people who have nothing to do with the hiring process or anything to do with what's going on in there see it, and then they make a little noise. And these bureaucrats, they cave so easily. They cave so easily. All of a sudden, somebody in mom's basement tweets something out, and they get so petrified that this could be, a big movement. And usually it's a couple of jamokes who have nothing better to do, and they're typically so wrong in their assessment of the situation. Hey, we have to take a quick break here at 14 and a half minutes after the hour. When we come back on the other side, we'll go to the phone. So, Ken, hold on for the break, and we'll continue with the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Box Truck Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Back in a moment.
If you enjoy listening to Full Service Radio AM 830 WCRN, Don't forget, you can stream
30 minutes.
WCRN on your computer or on your phone at WCRNradio.com and on your Amazon Alexa by saying, Alexa, listen to WCRN. On the radio, in your car, on your computer or phone. We are Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
I want to tell you what Cantiani Insurance has been able to do for me and Teddy. We stopped in to see Paul Sr. and the great staff at 318 Plantation Street. They've been handling my car and business insurance for years. Teddy was making his way around the office, and they let me know they now offer pet insurance. For a fraction of what one visit to the vet was for Teddy, they could cover him for a whole year. I know you treat your furry family members like any other family member, and as well as I do Teddy. The professional staff at Cantiani has been providing courteous service for over 40 years with integrity and personalized service, making sure that your insurance actually protects you and your family. With 2 locations, the 318 Plantation Street in Worcester and East Douglas Insurance Agent, located at 306 Main Street in Douglas. For home, auto, business insurance, and now pet insurance, click CantianiAgency.com or call 508-791-2088. 508-791-2088.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers 1-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to drive safely and efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click Levante'sAutoSchool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Hey folks, Joe Mangiacotti here, and I have recently purged and refreshed with new furniture and, most importantly, a new bed. We spend about a third of our life on our mattresses, and it's so vital we have the right one, and we don't break the bank to do that. I first bought a mattress from the big store the brothers used to own, and a power base that moved head and feet, and then I met John, and I checked out his showroom, 50 Main Street in Ashland, and online at boxdropmiddlesex.com, and ended up with a better mattress, a power base that also heats and massages, all for less than half of what I was going to spend at the other place. Boxdrop is a discount mattress store, and John specializes in clearance and closeouts, and he buys directly from the manufacturer with a low overhead and just family employees, passing the savings on to you, and you can see it reflected in the price every day. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or call John on his cell. This is his cell number, 508-579-9303. That's 508-579-9303. And you can find John on Facebook at Boxdrop Middlesex. John loves referrals, and this is the best referral I've given so far this year. Dropboxmiddlesex.com.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388, or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. When he drives a car off a lot, the value goes up. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxdrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. If you didn't hear, Bob Dole has passed away quietly in his sleep yesterday after many years of service, World War II veteran, many years as a senator from Kansas, vice presidential candidate, He did a lot for this country. And I hope we end up remembering in the appropriate way. Also, moving on, so I'm talking about a story here in Massachusetts where a high school teacher's fired for her freedom of speech expression against CRT in the school systems. The irony is she fired from Hanover High School while she's running and sworn in and born on the school committee. It's crazy stuff. 508-871-7000. Let's go to the phones. Ken. Hey, Ken. Good afternoon. For listening. How are you, man?
Hi, Joe. The stories just keep getting wilder and wilder in our woke world.
Right.
But I have a lot of relatives in the education system. And literally we're now in a time where, being in any way education and social media, that's toxic. You're just asking for trouble. It's like, so she can sue. That's great. And when I first heard you talking about this, I'm thinking, wait a minute, the teacher's been in her job for at least 3 years. You got tenure. They're not coming after you. But okay, it only been hired for a month.
Yeah, she was just hired. And the thing about it is, they could have just said, because it was a month, right? She hadn't even passed like the probationary. Is this a good fit? So they could have said, I don't think this is a good fit. Thank you, and move on. But they, in their arrogance, right? And they're going to show her. They actually cite and put in writing that the reason they fired her was because of the TikTok videos opposing CRT. So she handed Judicial Watch, the organization who's taking care of the legal part of it for her, and her, a First Amendment violation. Like, if they could have just fired her without citing a reason, Ken. So the stupidity here is on them. Because they're so confident that anyone who doesn't agree with them and see the world through the same lens are just idiots, and they don't deserve a job.
This has been building up for 6 or 7 years. I tell you all sorts of stories about my kids going to college and what they had to deal with. It's indoctrination, and why, if you don't part of the indoctrination squad, you're out. They're going to do everything to ruin your life.
I'm telling you, the kids who are conservative or even middle of the road, or aren't particularly one way or the other, but they just are the type of kids that maybe they're brought up this way to question things because, hey, mom and dad are paying a lot of money for me to go here and I'm supposed to learn, so I'm going to ask questions. Just asking questions and not going, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you are right, teach. You're right, professor. Asking questions is enough for them to come down on you. And I've talked to a lot of conservative or even middle of the road young people. I'm not going to say kids because they're 19, 20, 21 years old, who said it's a nightmare in these universities. Because if they actually want to get the piece of paper and they don't want, ridiculously low grade point averages, because that's what they'll do to them, they'll tank them. They actually have to play along. And once they get out, then they can, then they can. But it's transferred to corporate America, right? It's in the HR departments now.
It's in businesses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's in businesses. Now, did you see or hear de Blasio issuing on the way out the door this all-encompassing mandate for all businesses in New York City? I mean, is he really setting the place on fire out the door?
The chutzpah. And on a related topic in our state, Joe, have you heard the latest on UMass Amherst?
No, what's going on at UMass?
The students are being mandated for boosters. Heck, it's just been 2 weeks since they said it could be done, and now they're automatically throwing booster mandates on.
Can you imagine, folks, if this was actually a serious deadly virus that we were dealing with, a real serious deadly virus that we were dealing with? I mean, I'm not saying it's not deadly. People have, yes. What I'm talking about is if it was one of these viruses that are in the Chisholm novel or something, that just, as soon as it touches you, you're dead type of thing. I don't understand why. Matter of fact, survey was done because the left are very misinformed on this, that if you would contract COVID, your chances of hospitalization are between 1% and 4%. Okay, a general, that's overall. But yet when people identified as Democrat or left were asked, what is the percentage chance of being hospitalized if you catch COVID? They said 46%. So among the party, the left, they're highly misinformed on this virus. Because they're watching MSNBC and CNN, right? They're watching the fear porn all the time. So they think that you contract it, there's pretty much your 50-50 chance you're going to end up in the hospital. And if you end up in the hospital, you probably ended up on a ventilator, right? Because, you don't go to the hospital unless you're seriously affected by this virus.
There's so many 20-year-olds on a ventilator from COVID.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Exactly.
They're making us out to be dumb.
And it-
And here's the thing. If this actually plays out, and you've got a young man, 20-year-old at UMass, takes his third shot and gets myocarditis, because you know what? About 1 in every 3 to 7,000 in that age group gets myocarditis from the vaccine, particularly the second one. I don't know as much the third, but those are the records. So somebody at UMass gets that and says, you know what? I'm suing the pants off of this university.
well, there is
And of course, you know who will pay for that.
taxpayers, of course. So there is
Right.
this nurse.
Because
She's
it's
an
a public
RN,
university.
and she's on Twitter, and she posted out today, I'm 5 hours into my 12-hour shift, and I've already treated 3 vax injuries, heart attack at 36 years old, a stroke at 44 years old, and a lower leg blood clot at 29 years old. All recently vaccinated. Heart attack and stroke patients are critical. I don't know which vax they had.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to guess the blood clot one was for a female that had J&J.
yeah, because the
That's
blood
what
clot
they're
is very
supposed
much
to.
associated. That's true, right?
Men have myocarditis and women the blood clots.
So why is not talking about the adverse reactions to this vaccination acceptable, and why is it edited out of social media?
Very
folks?
simple.
Why?
It would offend Lord Fauci.
Yeah, it could
wants in
prove
jail.
that he's a bit of a jamoke. Yeah, that's very true. Now the other thing is, and I mentioned this over the weekend show, folks, is that this Omicron variant actually could be a gift to the world. And now there's an article here by an ER doctor, Dr. Omar Hamada, who said a few days ago that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 may provide a natural immunity without inducing severe illness, as the symptoms so far resemble more of a mild common cold in South Africa. And this is exactly what I was talking about. This is a weaker variant, but it's more contagious. In the world, in the natural order of things, and in the world of, just taking care of itself, it has this weaker variant that's very contagious, which means it's going to spread around the planet, folks. It's not going to stop it, but it's not going to instantly kill you or even hospitalize you. You're going to get a little common cold. You're going to have a mild tiredness and fatigue, but you get the antibodies, and now you're naturally vaccinated against it. And in an interview with NTD's Capitol Report, the doc said, and by the way, he's a former U.S. Army Special Forces lieutenant colonel, said that even though we're seeing an uptick in the number of people affected, the severity of the disease seems to be at this point minimal. So the infectivity is greater, but the virulence is severely less. And that's a good thing.
But Joe, when you have tens of thousands of people who have these symptoms over the last 3 weeks, that's anecdotal,
Yeah.
They keep throwing the word anecdotal around. Well, how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, when it gets to a million, are they going to finally say, well, yeah, I guess it's happening?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, the WHO, the World Health Organization, said that Omicron has been detected in 38 countries. That's up from 23 just 2 days prior. So it's making its way around the globe, folks. All right, we're coming up to the
run.
Pardon, Fran?
Let it run.
Let it run. You got it. All right, I got to hold you there. We're coming up to the bottom of the hour break here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. Don't forget, you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That is our direct line into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. And don't forget, we do have our text line, which is up and running at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. We'll be back on the other side, and we'll continue a little with some of the Omicron conversation. But I also want to talk the latest about Jesse Smollett. This jamoke, I mean, it could go to jury today, tomorrow at the latest, folks. Back on the other side.
This is Full Service Radio, AM 830, WCRN, Worcester, Metro West.
In Chicago, Jesse Smollett is testifying at his trial. He's facing charges of staging a racist anti-gay attack on himself and lying to police about it. Smollett appeared on the TV show Empire. He is gay and black. Prosecutors say Smollett orchestrated the hoax to get publicity and paid 2 men to carry it out. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the U.S. will stage a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in February in Beijing.
The Biden administration will not send any diplomatic or official representation to the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics and Paralympic Games, given the PRC's ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang and other human rights abuses.
But U.S. athletes will be there. China threatened to take firm countermeasures if the U.S. goes through with a diplomatic boycott. Australia, whose ties with China have nosedived over a range of disputes, has also raised the possibility of a diplomatic boycott. I'm Ed Donahue.
Staying healthy isn't easy, especially during the holidays. Watching your diet, staying active, managing stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and effortlessly adjusts to both of you. Result? You wake up ready for anything. Bring proven quality sleep home for the holidays. It's time for our Cyber Week special. Save up to $1,000 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds and adjustable bases. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. It's going to be a breezy and a mild afternoon. We've got highs in the upper 50s, lower 60s out there, but we've also got winds that will end up gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour inland and up to 50 miles per hour at the coastline. After a dry chunk of weather this afternoon, we've got another round of rain that comes through this evening, so get set for those gusty showers. I'm Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Another marvelous Monday in New England. I'm Ted A. Here are some historic facts that happened on December 6th. In 1790, the United States Congress moves from New York City to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1865, the 13th Amendment is ratified, abolishing slavery. In 1923, President Calvin Coolidge is the first to broadcast an address to the nation on the radio. In 1973, Gerald Ford is sworn in as the first unelected vice president. In 2017, United States President Donald Trump recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The WCRN News is brought to you by John the Roofer, a leader in the roofing and home improvements business for more than 70 years. Call 866-906-ROOF or go to the internet and see johnTheRoofer.com.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388, or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. His tears cure cancer. Too bad he never cries. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back for the third segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrot Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. 508-871-7000. Lines are open and available, so jump on while you have a chance. So the question here on Jesse Smollett testifying has been answered, as you just heard in the news. He is on the stand. He is testifying in his own trial. And in this case, unlike we saw, I think, in Kyle Rittenhouse, where they made that call because he was so in the right, I think that they thought, or they're thinking, that the only person or only thing that can save this guy at all is him getting up on the stand and reaching down into all of those actor skills and putting all of the skills and talent that he can muster as an actor into play. This guy, I was saying this over the weekend show, folks. He disgusts me. He put these two brothers up to this. He orchestrated this. He did a dry run. Now, I know that the defense is making some dings in the case and all that kind of stuff, but the evidence is overwhelming here. And I can't imagine. I mean, he has 6 felony charges against him, and they could result in prison time. Absolutely. But what he did is so horrible because he really, and people have argued with me that he didn't commit a hate crime. This isn't a hate crime. Dude, it's a hate crime. He tried to manufacture a mega attack on him, right? The bleach, the noose around his neck, under the collar, by the way, right? When the police interview him, the thing is under the collar. He's wearing it like a bolo tie. And he's making sure that it's done. He's telling the brothers, hey, it's got to be in front of the camera. They have him buying the noose and the bleach. He writes them a $3,500 check for their services with the promise of getting the gig as bodyguards for security. Well, this Jamoke is making $2 million a year as an actor and director on the show Empire. He has a budding musical career. What are you thinking? And in the interview, he says, I went hard for 45. So now, on top of everything, we're supposed to believe that this guy making $2 million a year, living in a 5-star hotel in downtown Chicago, a city that went for Hillary Clinton by 83%, that there are, in 2 o'clock in the morning in freezing temperatures, mega hat-wearing Trump supporters roaming the street in case Jesse Smollett goes to Subway at 2 o'clock in the morning.
This whole thing just baffles me. First of all, what Subway is open at that time?
And what is at Subway, right? If he's on the stand, one of the first questions I'm going to ask him, if I'm the prosecutor, what was your order?
Right.
What did you order? What was your order? Because if you're going out and it's 3 degrees out in the middle of the night in Chicago to go to Subway, if they're open, are they even open? You have an order, right? I mean, there's got to be something at Subway that is so friggin' fantastic that you would do that.
Right. Exactly.
I can't think of too many things that would get me to leave my warm, toasty bed, never mind house, at 2 a.m. to eat. It just isn't going to happen. And plus, it's not like you don't have a ton of services. Plus, you have rooms. It just doesn't. It's so ridiculous, folks. And even the police officer said when we interviewed the guy, and when he finds out that, one of these cameras isn't working and the other camera's turned in the other direction, so it didn't catch any of this, he's pissed off. He thought this was so well orchestrated, and he was going to have, this is the important thing, he was going to have clips of this supposed attack to share on social media and to show what a victim he is. He's embarrassing people of color. He's embarrassing the LGBTQ community. He's embarrassing decent human beings. He's insulting your intelligence. I just can't believe, that this is even going to try. Like, he should have settled this thing. Then Michelle Obama gets involved back when it happened, because this Fox character, the prosecutor, is another George Soros plantier, right, who funded her, and friend of the Obamas, and she makes a call to get things dropped. It can't. He's got to pay for these ridiculous crimes. He tried to put this massive racial wedge right down the middle of the country. 508-871-7000. Let me jump to the phones. Mark in Worcester has been waiting patiently. Good afternoon. I almost said morning. Good morning. Again, here we are. Good afternoon, Mark. Thank you for waiting.
Good afternoon. You hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we got better bigger things to worry about than just Smollett. We got 100. I'm hearing reports as high as 100,000 plus Red Army poised on the frontier of the Ukraine. 100,000 plus.
Yep.
Including tanks, mobile artillery, rocket launches, the whole shebang.
Yeah. And why do you think Putin is feeling so emboldened to make this move at this particular time, Mark? Why do you think he's thinking, this is a good time for me to annex, some real estate to Mother Russia? Why do you think he's doing it now?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think he's doing it because he thinks that America is weak and that we have a president who's compromised. And I think he watched what happened in Afghanistan and saw the cluster there. And he's watching what the Red Chinese are doing to Taiwan, what they did to Hong Kong, what they're doing on the Indian border. I think he's watching all of this, and I think he thinks he isn't going to have any problem or interference from the United States of America. And then if he starts to, I think he thinks that that China is going to slap him upside the head and remind him what they have on him. That's what I think.
Sounds like a very plausible theory to me. If they go in, if the Russians go in, and it looks like they are, they're not going to stop at Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine. They're going to swing north into Belarus. If they get no pushback, they're going to go right to the border of Poland.
Yeah.
They're going to swing north.
Nothing to stop them. Don't worry. Nothing to stop them. Don't worry, though. The Biden administration, much like the Obama administration, they'll send them plenty of blankets and pillows, though, Mark. Don't worry. They'll be warm and have pillows.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. As they're occupied by Soviet Union. To Mark's point, yeah, they are. Yeah, they're amassing on the border, and we have China absolutely eyeing the Soviet Union, Taiwan, because as the president Xi Jinping says in China, look, it's reunification. Taiwan is part of China, and we will be reunited. Period. Now, China would like it if Taiwan capitulated and just did it, but they won't. I've benefit of having a peek into the mentality of Taiwanese people. Now, Lloyd Austin, our defense secretary, he warned just a couple days ago that Chinese regime's repeated military air activities near Taiwan, they appear to be a rehearsal for future military operations. We know what military rehearsals and exercises look like. He issued a warning while speaking at the Reagan National Defense Forum. He made the comment about Taiwan addressing the overall challenges. Emergence of increasingly assertive and autocratic China. It looks a lot like them exploring their true capabilities, and sure, it looks like a rehearsal, but the Chinese Communist Party doesn't recognize Taiwan's sovereignty in its threatened war to bring the island under its reign. Xi Jinping vowed to achieve reunification with Taiwan and called the island's independence a serious hidden danger to national rejuvenation. It's coming, folks. And we have the wrong administration in the Oval Office to deal with these global situations. Some of you are probably rethinking your vote now. Tried to warn you back in November. There's more at stake than a few mean tweets, folks. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrot Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. Back on the other side.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers 1-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877 drive Ed.
Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to drive safely and efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click Levante'sAutoschool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 877 drive Ed.
Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
I want to tell you what Cantiani Insurance has been able to do for me and Teddy. We stopped in to see Paul Sr. and the great staff at 318 Plantation Street. They've been handling my car and business insurance for years. Teddy was making his way around the office, and they let me know. They now offer pet insurance. For a fraction of what one visit to the vet was for Teddy, they could cover him for a whole year. I know you treat your furry family members like any other family member, and as well as I do Teddy. The professional staff at Cantiani's has been providing courteous service for over 40 years with integrity and personalized service, making sure that your insurance actually protects you and your family. With 2 locations, the 318 Plantation Street in Worcester and East Douglas Insurance Agency, located at 306 Main Street in Douglas. For home, auto, business insurance, and now pet insurance, click CantianiAgency.com or call 508-791-2088. 508-791-2088.
You just may have the best podcast anywhere.
Blah, 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 blah.
But who knows it exists? Hello? Get your podcast to broadcast on radio. Create a podcast. Improve your podcast sound with professional production and editing. Record your podcast in a real radio studio. Visit podcasttobroadcast.org today. Get your podcast on the radio with podcasttobroadcast.org.
Hey folks, Joe Mangiacotti here, and I have recently purged and refreshed with new furniture and, most importantly, a new bed. We spend about a third of our life on our mattresses, and it's so vital we have the right one, and we don't break the bank to do that. I first bought a mattress from the big store the brothers used to own, and a power base that moved the head and feet, and then I met John, and I checked out his showroom at 50 Main Street in Ashland and online at boxdropmiddlesex.com, and ended up with a better mattress, a power base that also heats and massages, all for less than half of what I was going to spend at the other place. Box Drop is a discount mattress store, and John specializes in clearance and closeouts, and he buys directly from the manufacturer with a low overhead and just family employees, passing the savings on to you, and you can see it reflected in the price every day. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or call John on his cell. This is his cell number, 508-579-9303. That's 508-579-9303. And you can find John on Facebook at Box Drop Middlesex. John loves referrals, and this is the best referral I've given so far this year. Dropboxmiddlesex.com.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388 or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. Sharks have a week dedicated to him. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Box Drop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Lines are open and available. All right, so in the last segment that we have here, just finishing up on the direction that we took with this both Russia and China situation. We're going to be boycotting Winter Olympics. China has threatened diplomatic recourse if we to do that, except there will still be American athletes there. So I'm not sure what the boycott is. What's going on with Taiwan is of huge concern. China's aggression, by the way, isn't limited to Taiwan, right? It's the communist regime is seeking to displace the United States in its leadership role around the world. The leaders of the Chinese Communist Party, they've been increasingly vocal about their dissatisfaction with the prevailing order and their aim of displacing America in our leadership role. They intend to be the number one superpower. And I think that you have to really acknowledge not just the economic war that they've been fighting, where the majority of us, including our politicians, with the exception of a few, including Donald Trump, who's been warning us of this, have been just killing us on the economic front. And the fact that so much comes from China in the supply chain, that if they cut it off, everything from medication to computer components and parts to even automobile stuff, right? Little things that are being, they may be assembled in Detroit or the Ford plant in Texas or what have you. But how many thousands of pieces are needed to put a car together? Well, a good number of those little components, whether they're little junction boxes or computer chips or what have you, they're not coming all from companies being manufactured within the United States of America, folks. So they can put a stop across the board. The medications are a big concern. But they've also been pumping drugs into the streets of the United States of America for a long time. Look at the amount of fentanyl, and I'm not going to use, let's get this straight. When somebody buys an illegal drug on the street and it's laced with fentanyl, that's not an overdose. Stop calling it an overdose. It's not an overdose. An overdose is when you take too much or too powerful of a drug. That's an overdose. When you think you're buying something that's laced with fentanyl, that's poisoning. That's murder. When less than my fingernail amount of fentanyl can kill several people, and they're pumping this into the streets and they're killing, killing. It's murder. You know what's going to happen if you put fentanyl into a drug, and all of this is coming over the southern border. China has been shipping it to Mexico, where they've made the deals with the labs there to manufacture it and then get it over the border. And we have such a porous border. Why is this not an outrage? Why aren't you outraged at it? I'm outraged at it. Look, illicit drugs, people have taken drugs. It's part of society in the sense that it's something we need to deal with. But when you start to slide in fentanyl unawares to the people, the end user of this, you know what the result is going to be. It's going to be their death. So it's murder. So these overdoses, I don't think should be classified as overdoses. They should be classified as murder, manslaughter at minimum, but murder. And we should have an administration that would take a stand against the country behind it. But we can't. We don't. We have a guy in the Oval Office who's been doing businesses, who considers the president of China, who nothing happens in China without their knowledge, folks. I mean, nothing. Refers to Joe Biden as my dear friend. Biden's in a 3-hour conference call and never brings up the drug issues, the drug problem in America, the fentanyl coming into this country via South America, but from China. Doesn't bring up the Wuhan lab or the virus resulting from it and the millions of deaths around the globe. They have stopped any kind of cooperation or decent investigation into it. And of course, it's getting colder and colder, right? That the time for the real, and if you were truly interested in the scientific aspect of the virus, the origin of it, because every virus, you need to have the origin in order to appropriately attack it. You have to understand its origin. And when it jumps from an animal to the human, that's a very important part of this. And every other virus that we've ever had in the history of the planet, once science got to this point, the first thing that we did is we found out when such a virus made that jump, where, when, and how it made the jump to human. And that's usually accomplished, if not in days, in a matter of weeks. But this is a man-made virus. And that was known pretty much immediately. And that brings us back to Dr. Fauci and his inconsistent storyline here. And I used to think, well, initially, yeah, maybe he should just retire and step away. But as more and more comes out, I'm starting to go along with, I think this guy's behavior is criminal. It's criminal. He received notification because we have the emails, folks, but we don't have a media that, mainstream media that does the job the way they're supposed to. So you don't really hear about it. If the roles were reversed, I know we hate to do this all the time, but if this was, Trump's administration and Trump's guy, and yeah, he was there when Trump was there, but they did not get along, and his since showed his position on Trump. But he was notified very quickly by scientists he knew and respected that this does not look natural. It has all of the characteristics, it has all the markers of being man-made. And Fauci silenced them right away, ended up doing a paper he cooperated with, and then he goes out on the stage in front of all the cameras to tell us that these 3 scientists who he leaves out, he instructed them to do this paper, and he did it with them, said this was naturally occurring. Now, what he did to them or threatened them with or how he convinced them to do a 180 on their initial email and assessment on the virus, I don't know. But I hope that when the expected red wave comes in November of 2022, that people like Jim Jordan end up as chairman of the Judicial Committee. The Judicial Committee, that's the committee that does the investigation into these things, right? That's the committee that subpoenas people and investigates. And he's asking hard questions as a minority member of the committee. And he gets stalled and blocked and cut off all the time. He's made requests over and over via letter, informal requests for information and data, and he gets blocked all the time. But if he was the chairman of that committee, and I believe, at least in an interview I saw, he said that's what he wants. If the Republicans are in charge come January of 2023, the position he would like is chairman of the Judicial Committee, because he's going to get to the bottom from everything from the Wuhan virus to the dossier to election fraud. He'll get to it all. All right, folks. We're coming up to the end of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Middlesex Box Drop Mattress Studios. Don't forget, you can check all of our former shows out at tjmshow.com. We're on SoundCloud as well as Spotify and iTunes, right? All these platforms, you can get us as a podcast form and check us out. So download us, subscribe on Spotify and iTunes. You can do that as well. Look for Cameo Media and the Joe Mangiacotti Show and those things. We do broadcast the show visually as well on several of those platforms. Jazz, big plans for today?
Not really. I'm going to go visit my uncle. He got in a car accident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right after Thanksgiving. So I'm going to go check on, see how he's doing.
Well, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, he broke his eye bone.
Oh, eye socket?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not fun.
Yeah, and
No.
he's disabled. He's in a wheelchair, so.
All right. Well, he's going to be happy to see you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. Teddy and I are out of here for the day. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, folks. I'll be back on Saturday. We have Political Thursday. It's not my week, though, but Jerry Doherty, 10 o'clock Thursday morning. And I'll be back Saturday morning, bright and early at 6 a.m. for the second Saturday of the month. All right, folks. Happy holidays. I'm out.